He's here to talk about
Olivia,
how we're living
I'm
in a
over here.
simulation.
What?
Nothing.
When I was 6 years old, I stood in my kitchen amidst an existential crisis, all spurred by one question. I went straight to my mother, who was, and still is, the wisest person in my life. But this time was different. I asked her my question, and she grasped for an answer. I was stunned. How could my mother not know? What I asked her remains unanswered to this day. Is everything around me a projection of my own consciousness? Anyone with the privilege to have time to think these days has most likely asked themselves the same question. Do I live in a simulation? Am I the only true consciousness? Does anything exist outside the big box of my own head? Or perhaps we all exist inside a big, boxy computer? There are several schools of thought concerning the all-encompassing big box simulation. In a widely respected paper by Nick Bostrom titled, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?, Bostrom derives 3 potential answers, each with different probability of happening. The first 2 are refutations of the assumption that we live in a simulation, and the third is his argument for our simulated reality. His first possibility is that humanity will go extinct before reaching post-human stage. The argument is that we will not reach a post-human stage due to extinction caused by natural disasters, large-scale war, or, as of recently, climate change. The second possibility is that we will reach a post-human stage, but our descendants will not have any inclination to create a simulation. The third possibility is that we are currently living in a simulation. If you consider the validity of either of the first 2 possibilities as causation for the voidance of possibility 3, then if both possibility 1 and 2 are void, possibility 3 prevails. And just like that, we're all code. Anyone can just say possibility 1 is true and forget the whole argument there. They'll go on without ever considering the subject again, and for that, I applaud them. However, those who are not satisfied there go on to possibilities 2 and 3. Bostrom estimates that for a computer to simulate all of human history, post-humans would need a computer capable of 10 to the 33 operations. The argument for possibility 2 is that post-humans would never feel the need to devote resources to building a computer large enough to simulate their ancestors. I refute this possibility because of the exponential technological growth that has taken place over the past 17 years. In 2002, the Apple iMac was the most revolutionary desktop computer available. The highest-end model packed 60 gigabytes of hard drive and had 256 megabytes of RAM. All of that power for just $1,800. Today, the lowest end of the MacBook Pro lineup starts with 128 gigabytes of hard drive and 8 gigabytes of RAM, and will run you a cool $1,300. And a similarly priced $1,700 iMac comes with 1 terabyte of hard drive and 16 gigabytes of RAM. In a time span that my age surpasses, technology has made incredible leaps regarding capability and cost. If this trend continues, by the time our descendants become post-human, they will be able to simulate all of human existence with the backing of just a few billionaires who have interests in simulating their ancestors. This argument can also be applied to possibility number 3. If it will truly be possible to simulate all of human history, then surely people will support it. However, assuming that there is only a relatively small amount of support, and they are not able to simulate humanity on a large scale, then is there still a possibility we live in a simulation? According to 6-year-old me, yes. The theory that I was the only person who was truly conscious is defined by experts as solipsism. It is defined by Merriam-Webster as a theory holding that the self can know nothing but its own modifications, and that the self is the only existent thing. See also, extreme egocentrism. How do you refute this claim? If you were to come to me and but say that you are 100% sure that you exist and have your own consciousness, I would have no way to disprove or to prove your statement. Robert G. Brown, a Duke physics professor, published an attack on solipsism titled "Why Solipsism is Bullshit." Throughout the paper, he fails to deliver any hard arguments aside from his main point, which is, I don't like it because it is absurd and logically unassailable. Given all the facts presented in my study, it is my belief that the most likely possibility is that of a solipsistic existence, where only one person, the subject's, consciousness is constantly simulated. It would require less funding and support than a full-scale simulation of the simultaneous consciousness of all humans on Earth. The computer would only have to simulate the subject's consciousness and relevant environment. I define a relevant environment as an environment that is immediately necessary to the subject, whether that be wherever the subject is physically or the consciousness and environment of a friend who is on FaceTime with the subject. All people and objects outside of this relevant environment could be presented to the subject whenever they become relevant. I will use a subject's friend as an example. The computer will only simulate their consciousness when they are within the friend's relevant environment. When the friends are not within the subject's relevant environment, the computer only has to create events and present them to the subject. That way, the computer does not have to simulate other humans' consciousnesses when they are not present with the subject, only their actions and experiences. This approach is much more economical than a large-scale simulation, which is why I believe this is the most likely possibility. So, who is real? For all I know, the committee reviewing this video does not physically exist. Your committee will only need to exist in the form of a yes or no answer until I step foot on campus and meet you all. Likewise, I may not exist at all. Your job as a dean facilitates the need for applications to the Dean's Honors Scholarship. In the case that you are the subject, then this video is completely fabricated, and I do not physically exist until we meet in person. But I want this theory to be wrong. I want everyone to exist for there to be no simulation. To prove my own existence to you, I've sent a package containing some of my most prized possessions. I offer no explanation for their importance. If I exist or not depends on your interpretation of my experiment. I hope to see you on campus, so that I may pick up my belongings.
He's here to talk about how we're living in a simulation.
What?
Nothing.